Shmuel Aleph Per Chafei. We'll start on Lamed Beis if we did.
Yeah, I think we did Lamed Aleph, so it's Lamed Beis.
I know we have to begin David's response. I'm not
Yes,
sure
exactly.
if we started it already, but we'll start over there, Lamed Beis.
Yeah.
Yomer David Lavigail, David answers Avigail, Baruch Hashem Eloikei Yisrael Asher Shalochei Hayom Hazel Likrasi. Blessed is Hashem, the God of Israel, who has sent you to me today. David recognized, the Malbim explains that David recognized the truth was with her, and he admitted, number one, that she was sent by divine providence to prevent him from doing this action. That's number one. Next pasuk, Lamed Gimel, Uvarach Tamech Ubrucha At, and your reasoning is blessed, and you are blessed. Asher Kilisini Hayoim Hazeh Mibo V'Domim V'Oshea Yodili, that you have held me back today from coming to bloods, and you saved my hand from me. So Malbim explains that in addition to thanking Hashem, he also recognized that her reasoning was true, and also that she is blessed, and that she, because in terms of herself, because he was ready to destroy the entire family, so he's giving credit where credit is due. Hashem, her svara, her logic, all this is correct, which is again a great sign of a great person is able to admit the truth, which David HaMelech was able to do. Just quickly change from 1 minute ago wanting to kill Naval, and the next minute when he hears the truth, he admits that the truth is there. Now it says, you kept me from coming with blood. Obviously, this is the spilling of blood of Naval, and again the repetition of Domim, the saying bloods, multiple of bloods. It refers, somehow to the Dam Nida or whatever that she showed him. That was the different bloods over here, and the expression of Hoshea Yodi Li. So the extra commentary on Rashi says the expression of revenge, that you kept me from doing revenge on instead of me trying to save myself, as it were, and that means I would be taking revenge. You kept me back from taking revenge. Okay, Lamed Daled. V'lam chai Hashem Elokei Yisrael asher mana'ani mihario sach. But as by the life of Hashem, the God of Israel, that has held me back from doing evil to you. Kilulei mihart vatavos likrasi, had you not been quick and come to me, kim noser l'novel ador haboker mashtin bakir, that if there would have been left to the novel by morning time, even one person who would be urinating by the wall. So Malbim explains. He says it certainly was not Novel's merit, the hashgacha. In other words, the merit was because of you. Hashem kept me back mehara osach, from doing evil to you. So therefore he didn't want anything to happen to you. But certainly had Hashem not intervened in this way, I would have destroyed everything. Tzaddik Rasha, the tzaddik like the Rasha in this family. And but it was Hashem's will that nothing should happen to you. So it's in your merit that nothing happened to you.
He would have killed Abigail as well.
Would have killed them all.
Yeah.
If to let it go by like that,
yeah.
For such behavior to happen, obviously, there was very wicked behaviors going on, and nobody's stopping this guy. So everybody kind of agrees to the kind of behavior that he does. David took the gift that she brought to him, Omar, and he said to her, Ali l'shalom leveisech, go in peace to your home. Re'i shamati b'kolech, you should see that I've listened to your voice. V'asach panayich, and I have forgiven you. So he receives it from her hand, meaning in an honorable way, and doesn't talk anything about Novel anymore. He just says, I forgave you, and I have no hard ill feelings, and finished, I'm not going to deal with the situation. I'm going to let it go, finish, I'm going to walk away. Done. Lamed Vav. Vatavo Avigail El Novel. Avigail comes back to Novel. Now, I'm assuming that this is Rosh Hashanah night. I'm assuming. V'hinei lo mishte beveso. There's a big feast going on in this house. Kimishte hamelech. Interesting use of term. Like a kingly feast, a royal feast. Again, you can see again that Novel wanted to act like a king, like a royal feast. Believe Naval Tov Alav, and Naval's heart was good with him. Ushikor Admod, and he's very drunk. Again, you can see this is what you do in Rosh Hashanah. You get very drunk. She didn't tell him anything, nothing small, nothing big, until the morning. So it was not the time to tell it. The Malbim explains why. Malbim says there's 3 reasons she didn't want to tell him. Number 1, if she would tell him that he gave him such a large present, he would feel that there'd be something missing from the feast, and he would tell that that there's something missing, and then he'd have to tell the whole story. So since it was a big feast, she didn't want to let him sense something was wrong with the feast. So since it was a big feast, he couldn't tell anything was the matter. Number 2, he was in a very good mood, so she didn't want to take away his good mood. And number 3, he was very drunk. You can imagine if a terrible character like this guy gets drunk. Imagine what he would do if she would have told him in a drunken state. No different than what Achashverosh did to Vashti when he was in a drunken state. He would say, okay, if that's the way David is, so I'm going to go to war with him right now. So she felt the better of just let it go. Let's not spoil his moment now, and we don't want to suffer any repercussions from him finding out this. So she waits till the next morning. Lamed Zayin. Vahiva boker, it was in the morning, b'tzeis hayayin min Novel, when the wine came out of Novel. Vataged lo ishto asadvar me'ela, and his wife told him everything that went on. Vayomos libo b'kirbo, v'hu hayo le'oven. Literally the words mean his heart died inside of him, and he became like a stone. So Malbim explains, what's this expression, Vayamos libo? He said a great fear fell over him from David and from the great danger that was there, and his blood, as it were, became cold. So I don't know what kind of medical condition you want to say. Fell into a depression or whatever, but he definitely was affected by this news, and it impacted on his overall joie de vivre, let's say.
Is your paralytic stroke?
A stroke? Well, I guess because he's cold.
No, his heart, I think the because his heart became like a stone. That's how he described it, had like paralysis. Brought up like a shock.
Rashi says he was greatly distressed over the fact that she gave him the gift. A very stingy person.
That was a gift, not fear of David.
Well, different interpretations here. Yamas Libo, in the star on the Mincha. Radak says he was quiet, like a dead person. Again, he was disturbed over the gift that his wife brought him. I'm just trying to see if anybody says it.
I think that's where it comes
Yeah, but I don't see any of the commentators who say this.
It doesn't say anything about it.
Most, right, but all was saying he was disturbed because of the gift and the danger that he was in. But I don't see any strokes. I don't see any strokes. Okay, could be.
The next line it says he
No, next line says he dies.
It says he died.
But he was greatly stressed. But doesn't.
Here it says 10 days after.
I understand, but that doesn't mean anything. It could
It
just
says
mean,
a stroke around plane. Doesn't say just a stroke.
over here it doesn't.
He died, that's all.
What does the Targum say? It was like a stone. Doesn't really.
Not important, he died.
It could be, whatever. Anyway, in Lamed Ches, Vahi Kaseres Hayamim was at about 10 days. Vayigo Hashem es novel vayomos. Hashem smote novel and he died. Finished. So there's a lot. Rashi brings a number of interpretations. The succession Ke Asar Shavim, which is an unusual form. It should have said it was after 10 days. What's Ke? Ke is like saying a very, this kind of chaf doesn't mean like, but it's like a very clear, a very well-known 10 days. So there's different interpretations. Rashi gives one interpretation that Hashem waited for the 7 days of mourning for Shmuel to end. And so during those 7 days, he was...
Shmuel died on Rosh Hashanah?
No, before. I don't know. I don't know where Rashi gets this. Maybe a Chazal. Could be when the pasuk says that Shmuel died. Maybe it was a little bit in advance. It's not clear, But he didn't want the mourning of this wicked person to get in the middle of the 7 days of mourning for Shmuel. So therefore he waited the 7 days of Shmuel, and then he was sick for 3 days, and then he died. Okay, so that's one interpretation, not to disturb the mourning for Shmuel. Brings another Chazal from our rabbis that this is the Aser Shemei Tshuva. This is the 10 days of Tshuva. And that makes the most sense, because we said it came on Erev Rosh Hashanah, so it was the 10 days of Tshuva. Now another interpretation, I don't really see where they get this either, is that there were 10 servants that David had brought him, and this is wild, I don't get it at all. It says that Novel gave the 10 servants something to eat when he sent them, and he gave them what to eat. So because he gave them what to eat for 10 guys, he got 10 more days to live. He should have died totally. I don't know where that's based on, because he was totally very rude to the people who went. But be that as it may, so there's a number of interpretations over here. But clearly was an important 10 days, and the simplest shot would be the 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Kippur, where this was his chance to maybe do some tshuva, and he just was so depressed by what happened, he just lost his will to live. Okay, Lamites. Vayishma David kimes Novel. Now David hears that Novel dies. Vayomer Baruch Hashem asher rav es riv cherpasi miyad Novel. That Hashem has fought my battle, defended me, defended my shame from the hands of Novel. Ves avdo chosach merah, and his servant, meaning himself, he held him back from doing evil. Ves ras Novel heishiv Hashem barosho, and the evil of Novel he returned back onto his head. Vayishlach David vayidaber b'Avigail, and David sent messengers and spoke to Avigail, lekachta lo leisha, to take her to him for a wife. So again, he blesses Hashem for 3 things. Number 1, that Novel was killed for his injustice, so justice was served. Number 2, that Hashem protected David from being the one to take revenge for himself. In other words, by bringing Avigail, so he found out the truth, so David realized he should not take revenge. And that Hashem punished Novel for what he did in all his averos, and that it shouldn't happen that he was punished through David. In other words, dying only for David's for the injustice he did to David. And as he says, "Ve'es ras Novel heishiv Hashem barosho," not just the cherpasi. In other words, Hashem avenged for me what was nogei of me. But also he punished Novel for all the averos he did in his life. This was part of the punishment. As Chazal say, in a situation where someone gets punished because of you, Hashem does not allow even the victim to enter into the mechitzas of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In other words, if let's say Hashem killed Novel only because of David, so there is this concept that it's not that good that people die on your account. Because he hurt David, Hashem has to kill him. So why couldn't you have straightened things out or something like that? See, no, I see that Hashem punished him, the kind of death he got and everything. He got punished for a lot of things that he did. So Baruch Hashem, that Hashem was able to take care of everything. And then he asks, now at the appropriate time, he asks Avigail, I want to take you for a wife. Now it's fine. The husband died, he didn't do anything. So you see that David was, listen to Avigail, was very smart. That's the whole nevuah. says, why don't you wait? Why don't you wait and see what happens? Of course, he didn't know this was going to necessarily happen. Could be novel, could have lived years and years and years. That could have all happened. And in those days, it wasn't easy for a woman to ask for a divorce. Right? So Abigail was certainly prepared to suffer more with this guy. David was prepared to walk away. And Novel could have lived a very long time. They were all prepared to do that. So therefore he thanked Hashem that all the things just fell into place, as it were. And now he was ready to marry Abigail, and it was 100% kosher. There are Chazal who bring down that he would have to wait at least 3 months before he could marry her, because to be sure that she didn't get pregnant from this fellow. But so things really resolved themselves in a very good way for David. Mem. Vayavo avdei David el Abigail ha-Carmela. So the servants of David come to Abigail in Carmel, although their home was in the other place, Maon. But she was still in Carmel. Vaydaber elel lemor, and they spoke to her, saying, David shlochanu elayich. David has sent us to you, l'kachtech lo l'isha, to take you to him for a wife. The reason why she was still in Carmel, because after the feast, he got sick right away. I guess Carmel was the summer cottage area, near the business where they were shearing the sheep, and he never returned to Mon, so she stayed there after he died in Carmel. That's why they called for in Carmel. So she got up and bowed down her face to the ground. And she said, she says to them, but even though she's speaking to them, but she speaks as if she's speaking to David, because they are the messengers. So the message she says to David is, behold, your maidservant, I will be for a shifcha to you, even to the extent of washing your feet, the feet of my master. So she's showing how subservient she will be to him. Even though she's talked very strong before, she's showing that, but when we'll be married, I will act like a Jewish woman is supposed to act, and I'll do what has to be done as a Jewish wife should do. Membeis. Vatimaher, she hurried. Vatokam Abigail, Abigail got up. Vatirkav al Chamor, she rode on the donkey. Interesting, Ha-Chamor, she said al-Chamor was Ha-Chamor, the donkey. It could be the very same donkey she had before. What did it say before? It said before, Yirochaves al-Ha-Chamor. So it's that Chamor. You know what it means? Ha-Chamor. Must be a special Chamor. She should have said al-Chamor. So
personal that.
I don't know. Something is more than here than the simple text. And she had 5 young maidens that were going by her feet. I guess they were her handmaidens. I guess she was a wealthy woman. She probably had lots of servants. She followed behind, in a sneistic way, behind the messengers of David, and she became his wife. Mem Gimel. Achinoam lokach David mi Yisrael, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, just out of nowhere, David takes another wife, Achinoam, from Yisrael, vatiyena gam shteim lo l'nashim, and both of them become his wives. In addition, what's gam shteim? Also, they have the same expression by Esav. When Esav married, it's interesting. When Esav married his two. Esav married one wife. Interesting. Esav married Machalas, the daughter of Yishmael, when he was 40. And it says, expression there, Gam. He also married, in addition to his previous 2 wives. So again, you see a lot of parallels between David and Esav. However, David doing it in a positive way, and Esav doing it in a negative way. Esav his whole life was a terrible guy. I'm sorry, not when he was 40, a little older. He had first 2 wives. He married when he was 40. He married Canaanite wives, who were terrible wives. They were idol worshippers, etc., etc. Then when he saw that Yitzchak was telling Yaakov to marry a proper wife, he says, I see my father's not happy. I'm going to marry another wife. So he married the daughter of Yishmael. But it was in addition to his previous two wives, as if to show that he wasn't doing any tshuva at all. He was trying, again, Esav was outwardly always trying to show he was a tzaddik. So Esav saying, oh, I see my father doesn't like that they're Canaanite women, and I have Canaanite women. Okay, so I'll marry someone else. I'll marry the daughter of Yishmael. That's a lot better than a Canaanite woman. Yeah, but if you really want to honor your father's words, so divorce the other two wives, which he did not. And so if I'm not mistaken, over there the expression also is gam. Also, in addition to his first two wives, there the addition was not an upgrade. You understand? That whole idea where we see that, why was she called Machalas? She was called Machal, even though that was not her name. She had a different name. But Machalas hints to the fact that when a person gets married, his Averis, Machala, can get Mechila. Get Mechila for all your Averis on your wedding day. That's the source from Esav. From Esav. That on your wedding day, you can get Mechila. Her name was not really Machalas. It's a different name. So, but because the potential for tshuva on all your Averos, forgiveness on your Averos is on your wedding day. And why do we say by Esav? Even if you're such a Russia like Esav, if you really do tshuva, tshuva can happen. So you see that can happen. So there is some kind of tshuva on David's part. The fact that he's marrying another two women over here, in addition to his wife, we'll explain after the next passage why that's all happening over here. But there's obviously some kind of tshuva going on over here. This Achinoam, I really don't know where she comes into the picture at all. But the way the Radak says, and we'll see in a minute, the question is, what's the order over here? This is the problem, as you'll see in the next pasuk. Next pasuk, according to the Radak, will explain why he did this. Because so as the machlokas in the Meforshim here, because the Malbim says from the word gam shtein, it says nosaf al Michal bashol, in addition to Michal, the daughter of Shaul, that he had already. So, but let's read the next pasuk. The next pasuk will bring all the facts that we need to know, and we'll discuss this at great length. Mem Daled. Shaul nosan es Michal bito eshes David lapalti ben Laish asher migalim. And Shaul gave Michal, his daughter, who was the wife of David. He gave David's wife away to another person by the name of Palti, the son of Laish, who was from a place called Galim. So, like what's going on over here? So what's going on over here? Well, see, so let's start with the Malbim. The Malbim brings a question that all the Meforshim ask over here. It's a double-edged question over here. He says, how could Shaul give his daughter, who was a married woman, to somebody else? Question one. She's married to David. How can you go give a married woman away? Second question will be, we'll learn in Shmuel Beis that David asks for Michal to be brought back to him. And she's brought back to him and lives with him as husband and wife. So that's also a question. If she's married to someone else, the rule is if a woman leaves a husband or whatever and is with another man, so then she's forbidden to the original husband. So this is clearly a problem. So it's a problem both ways. That's the question everybody's asking.
A woman could just leave her husband and go to another man?
Wait a minute, it says Shaul.
So,
Shaul.
Can you do that?
That's the question. This is the question. How can you take a married woman away from her husband? Okay, and even if you did, how can she go back to that husband? So we'll give you the Malbim's explanation. He brings from first brings the Radak. But it's interesting. The way the Radak learns the sequence of events, in Pasuk Mem Gimel, he says, why is the Torah telling us that he took these two wives now? And saying it was these two wives and not Michal. Because Shaul had already given Michal to Palti ben Laish, and therefore he now married these two women. So the question is, what happened first? And there seems to be a machlokas in the Rishonim. What happened first? The Psukim say he married these two women, and Shaul gave Michal away. So the one that would make more sense on David's part really is to say, David found out that Shaul gave Michal away. So now we know a man without a wife is a man without tov. Gemara says, a man without a wife doesn't have Torah, doesn't have Tov, doesn't have Simcha, doesn't have anything. So he says, if Shaul took my wife away, What am I going to do? I'm not going to be able to get her back. So I have an obligation to be married. That's all. It's an obligation to be married.
You could marry anyway.
What?
You could marry anyway. Another way.
Yeah, but there's nothing was pushing him. There's nothing to rush. Why marry another woman, right?
How long is he
Probably
living
saw her and he
without
fell in love with her. And
What?
Probably saw her and decided he wanted to marry her.
I don't know. I don't know if necessarily he would have married her if he knew that Michal was still his wife. I don't know. The questions, I don't know the answers. It's hard to figure out. But it would be much more reasonable to say that if he lost the only wife he had, now you could ask the question, well, what was the rush to take these two wives? What was the rush? And why are we writing it here? So he could have been rushing to do it because if he didn't have Michal anymore, then every minute he's not married, he's not a tov. He's not a good person. He's not a good person. Right. Okay. Well, whatever. I'm sure he understood what he was doing. Why he had to take two. Again, I don't see the basic Mikros Gedolos to give us any explanation. Like, I don't know.
You know, it just came out of nowhere, really, without any reference anywhere.
I don't know. But anyway, so that that figures in. So that's one way of looking at it. You could reverse it and say, once David took these two wives, maybe Shaul got so upset, he said, well, if he's ready to take these two wives, I'll give Michal to somebody else. Because, and I know somebody mentioned, I got to remember where, but it sort of was, it is, if you're learning it in that order, it is sort of an insult to the king, that the daughter of the king is not good enough for David, that David has to marry other women in addition to the daughter of the king. So he can come right back. Somebody says this, we'll come up, we'll see this somewhere. But he says that then she shouldn't be married to him? What kind of insult is that to me? Married to other women? So now we'll have to get into the halacha. I'm just telling you the psychological aspects. There's two aspects here, the psychological aspects and there's halachic aspects. I'm trying to get through the psychological aspects. Like, why did David feel compelled to have to marry? Why did Shaul feel compelled to take Michal away? Now you have to deal with the halacha. So the Radak says that Shaul had forced David to divorce her at an earlier time, and then David was able to take her back since he was forced to give it the divorce. So therefore, he was allowed to retake her. The Abarbanel says that he gave her to Paltiel only to guard her, not to be married to her.
He was an old man, Paltiel.
I don't know, not to marry her, but he doesn't like that. He says these are all far interpretations, because how could he force David, who's running away from him? And from the psukim, it appears he still was his wife, etc., etc. So therefore, he likes to go with what Chazal say, that Shaul made a mistake, and he figured like this. Shaul figured that when David married Michal, what was the kiddush? Remember, the kiddushin has to be legal. So normally you give the woman something of value, a ring, and you make a kiddushin with something like that. So he had thought, and I'm sure this was with his Doeg probably advised him on this because he was a scholar.
Yeah.
He felt the kiddushay Michal was not correct. The kiddusha was not correct. It was not according to halacha. And there's debate in the Talmud exactly how he married her. What did he do? So if you recall, when David killed Goliath, there was a lot promised to the guy who will kill Goliath. Lots of money, lots of things. And David, so really when he killed Goliath, Shaul owed David a lot of money. So David said, okay, you owe me a lot of money, I'll forgo the debt, and that will be in the place of the money of the kiddushin. That's the whole sugya of Mekadesh b'milva. If you can marry a woman by foregoing a debt, because there's not any actual giving over of money, although there's a tremendous financial benefit. So Machlokes, if that happens, so according to some opinions, that's not a valid kiddushin. So Shaul felt it was not a valid kiddushin. Or other opinions say, remember that he had to give 100 foreskins of plishtim. So some said that was the kiddushin, and Shaul felt that wasn't a shava pruta. It wasn't worth a penny. It wasn't even a minimum value of something to give. And therefore later on, David says, when he says, "Give me back my wife Michal, that I got engaged with 100 foreskins," that's what he says. He felt it was a good marriage, it was valuable, and Shaul felt not. So now the question is, okay, so now so you have this halachic, you go to a gadol, you ask for halachic basis. A Kohen is married to a divorcee. Well, you got to help me out. Well, let's check. Maybe you're not really a Kohen. There's leniencies. Obviously, he was looking for halachic leniencies. So he says, well, marriage really is very questionable. So be that if it was a correct ruling or not a correct ruling, be that as it may, he had a halachic leg to stand on. He couldn't ignore the halacha. So let's review the actual process of the wedding, and we do this many times to avoid major problems. If a woman was married to a first guy and then she had an affair with another guy and then she had children, these kids should be mamzerim. So a lot of times the rabbis will look very carefully to look at that first kiddushin. Maybe there was something wrong with that first kiddushin. Maybe the person who married them was not an Orthodox rabbi, and maybe the kiddushin wasn't proper. There weren't witnesses, so according technically they were never really married. Yeah, you have to find leniencies where necessary to find a way. We're not cheating the system. We're just being very meticulous and trying to find opinions to rely on. Especially when I want to make a child shouldn't be a mamzer, trying to do what you can to help them out. That's what Hashem wants you to do. We're not saying to throw the halacha out the window and say, well, we don't believe in these laws. Try to work within the halacha. So he's working within the halacha and saying, the whole kiddushin was a questionable kiddushin, and I hope there wasn't a kiddushin. Be that as it may, David wants her back. She can come back. Why? Because there is a rule that she was taken away by Bezdin. Now, it could very well be that the Bezdin made a mistake. So it's very interesting. There is a halacha of the following. Let's say, for example, let's say witnesses testify in court that a woman's husband died, to free her from being an aguna. Witnesses testified, and the Bezdin was there and said, okay, based on this testimony, you're allowed to get married to somebody else. Right? And now she gets married to this other guy, and now the husband comes back. So what's the halacha? The halacha is she can get divorced from the second guy and go back to the first husband. Even though normally we say that's not so, but here it was Alpi Bezdin. Bezdin was saying to do this. It wasn't on her own. It wasn't she wanted to get divorced from the husband, and now she married another guy, and that marriage, it comes out that the Bezdin made a mistake, so she never really was married to the second guy. I don't know if we paskin that way, but there is such a halacha out there. So therefore, that would be the legitimacy for her to come back.
So that would be the opposite then if there were kids from that one. Then she was never really married to the second.
It would be very complicated. It would be complicated.
It would be the opposite.
To say the least. It wouldn't be a shiloh I'd want to have to deal with. Here it was. This was. No, I remember this. Malbim says, and it appears to me that Shul was aroused to do this so Malbim clearly, so he said that David went and took other women without Michal's rishus, without permission. So it shows like you're repulsed by the daughter of the king by taking other people. So clearly, and now he adds, and this was another reason for Shaul's hatred to be reignited. And therefore you see in the next parak that David moves further out to hiding because he realized Shaul's going to be very upset with him. So again, Malbim is consistent. He's consistent that first David took the 2 extra wives, and then Shaul in retaliation went and did Michal. On the other hand, with Michal, the other Radak is saying that Shaul gave Michal away, and because of that, he wasn't happy with that, and David went and married 2 other wives. He needed to have 2 other wives. So there's 2 ways to look at this. It's one last.
Still not clear, the sequence.
Okay, well, we're not always going to know the sequence.
From the Pshat, the fact that it's two things. The fact that it says Gan in the 37.
Yeah, he's in addition to.
In addition to Michal, and the fact that he describes Michal as Eshet David also to be seems to indicate that that was the order.
Unless
not that Eshet David meant she was maybe still legally married to.
That's what I'm saying.
Anyway, there is one other thing to bring out from Chazal. Here the fellow is called Palti ben Laish. In Shmuel Beis, he's called Paltiel ben Laish. God's name is added. The word Kel is added to his name. So the rabbis say, really his name was Palti. Why was he called Paltiel? Because Hashem saved him from an Aveira. And we'll see later on that Palti really knew that he was ordered to marry Michal. So he knew that something was afoot and something wasn't proper with what Shaul was doing. He himself in his gut knew that something wasn't right. and therefore he refrained from Michal the entire time he was with her. He had to live with her like husband and wife, but he refrained from her the entire time, and therefore if he never touched her, then there never was a child to begin with in terms of returning the wife, because, and you could say also the Kiddushin was not a proper Kiddushin, etc., etc. One second. So the Musa Navim gives another spin on the answer of how he was able to take her away from him. So he brings down that again, Medrash clearly says the Doeg was the one who said it was allowed, and he said like this. He says this. You think David is still married to her? He's a Morid b'Malchus. He's a rebel, and the law of a Morid b'Malchus is choshev kameis. He's like he's a dead man already. His blood is already open season. Anybody can kill this guy. As a Morid b'Malchus, anyone can kill him. He's like a dead man already. And therefore he's like a dead man already. Since anybody can kill him, therefore his wife is allowed to marry somebody else. Okay? And it's based on a very important rule in halacha, more ksuvas, that we're going to learn in the fall. So like this, called the Makadish, anyone who marries a woman, adaited to run a Makadish. You marry her based on what the laws that the rabbis tell you that marriage are. In other words, you get married, it's not like I get married on the way I want to get married to her. There's laws, there's Jewish laws, and the rabbis dictate what the laws are, and you get married based on what the rabbis tell you the laws of marriage are, to whatever they will ever tell you. In other words, you're getting married, let's say in Canada, you get married according to Canadian law, you got to follow whatever Canadian law says in terms of keeping this marriage a marriage. Whatever would be no gaya. So in the Torah, you get married according to the basis of what the rabbis have to say. So therefore, the rabbis can say, you know what, you got married on the basis of what Torah says, but the rabbis say your marriage isn't a marriage anymore. In other words, the power of the rabbis is to uproot the marriage totally. You get married based on what the rabbis say. Right? So if the rabbis say it's not a marriage, it's not a marriage. That's all. And more of the logic he gives as well. So they have the right to do it. He was a Merv Mouth. It says B'frat Shal Yidei said She David Chosn Shal Shaul, and also since David was his son-in-law, many people were following David in him being the king, because after all he had certain royal blood by being married into the family. So therefore he writes, so he wanted people not to follow David anymore. He found it proper to uproot the Kiddushin of his as the power of the king, right? And therefore, in other words, he's saying he's married only on the conditions the way the Torah allows to get married. Shaul feels he's a rebel against the king, and now by being married to Michal, that strengthens his revolution against the kingdom. So halacha says I'm allowed to take this woman away to weaken his strength, and that's all done through the Besdin, through Doeg allowing this to happen. And therefore, when it comes back later, he's allowed to get married to her. Even though she was married to somebody else. She was never really called married to somebody else. Right? So, and the same way David can get her back, the same way. It all depends on how the rabbis say the law should be. Okay. And as well, and since Palti never ever touched her, that's also fine. This was something nobody knows except Hashem. Right? How can you do this? But the answer is, we know that if there's no proof that there was anything that went wrong, there really was no proof. So therefore, at least halachically it worked out. But certainly this divorce and marriage and this and that was certainly a political football that Shaul used politically in his favor, and David therefore would be allowed to remarry her. Okay, start the next parak next week, Amir Tzashem.